G'day there guys, Markee here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Legal Advice. Now if you need legal advice, I'm probably not the best person to go to for it, but Reddit is the next best place, and that's where we're going to today. Sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good legal advice. Posted by user, I'm fed up with my HOA. Titled, HOA being difficult because I host support meetings in my own home, Massachusetts. For the last 18 years, I've been a member and an organizer of a support group for trauma survivors. The room we were using for our meetings in a nearby church was recently flooded and badly damaged, and I haven't been able to find another suitable room for our meetings due to the pandemic. Not wanting the group members to be deprived of an important resource, I decided to host some meetings in my basement or in a scheduled area of my garden with a reduced number of attendees. We respect social distancing rules, wear masks, sanitize our hands and everything. This came to the knowledge of the HOA board. A few weeks ago, some HOA board members knocked on my door and told me they weren't pleased with this at all. They told me that people in the neighborhood feel unsafe knowing that drug addicts gather at my house. I told them that our support group is not for people fighting addiction, or maybe some of them are, but they don't tell me, but for trauma survivors, and that this would stop as soon as we could go back to the church. They weren't convinced and called me inconsiderate and asked me to stop. I didn't because I consider that I have a right to invite people at my house and talk to them. Yesterday, I received a strongly worded letter from the HOA demanding that I stop inviting drug addicts to gather at my house because it puts everyone in danger and they're not the kind of people we want in the neighborhood. They said I had a chance to make things right, but didn't, so they are fining me $500. They will fine me for every meeting I organize from now on, and threaten me with a lien on my house if I don't pay the fines. The reason they invoke is that our meetings are breaching the peace of the neighborhood and making people unsafe. This is completely untrue. Our meetings are 6 to 7 people max, we don't make noise, we don't drink, we park on my driveway or on legal spots in the street. We cause absolutely no disturbance. I checked the HOA rules and I can't seem to find which one I would be breaking. Does the HOA have any right to stop me from organizing meetings at my house? I don't see how our support group is any different from having a few guests at my house. The HOA is run by people who don't seem to know what they're doing, and I think they would stop harassing me if I had real legal arguments to oppose. Thank you for your advice. This is complicated, and a firm answer would probably require a detailed reading of your HOA's CC&Rs by a lawyer, but there is a decent chance they can do this. The fact that the HOA is run by people who don't seem to know what they're doing is largely irrelevant. Many HOA rules are written in such a way to exclude just the sort of activities that you are engaging in. Namely, bringing other people into the neighborhood on a regular basis. I could run through a list of possible reasons they'll feed you. It's a business run out of the home, even though you don't get paid. It's an unlicensed social club, you can't prove you're really doing social distancing, etc. But at the end of the day, they don't want undesirables with no clear link to a residence coming regularly into their space, and they will throw fines at you until you stop. You would need a lawyer to get a firm answer though. Agree with this. OP may attempt to fight it with a harassment or discrimination claim, but depending on the attorney's strategies, that could be a huge risk for them and for their neighborhood. Personally, I would stop hosting the meetings if it was causing the rumor mill to run, but I would still meet with an attorney to address the fact that the board participated in and took action to place restrictions on my right to invite guests to my home based on rumors that I, a member of the association, am a drug addict, and that my guests are drug addicts. This is highly probable to lead to further harassment and discrimination from neighbors. Yes, I might have to stop the meetings, and it's what really saddens me. Some members have a hard time dealing with the added stress from the pandemic, and our meetings provide much-needed relief. I don't even want to go to court or anything. I just want to have the possibility to help people who need it and don't bother anyone. And thank you for your answer. I would have imagined I was free to invite whoever I want as long as I don't cause disturbance. I was hoping to avoid spending money on a lawyer, but I will if I need to. That's the problem with HOAs. You are never free to utilize your property in whatever manner you choose. Joining an HOA requires you to give up a significant amount of your rights for the good of the community. As has been mentioned above, the HOA board probably has half a dozen vaguely worded bylaws they can use to enforce their will on you. What rules do they say you are violating? Request a hearing and refute their claims. Ultimately, it's possible the HOA can restrict this in a number of ways, limiting guest parking, not allowing non-residential use, etc. But whether or not you are violating the rules as they are written depends on the specific rules. They don't even say what rules I'm supposed to be breaking. Everything is very vague, which makes me think that they have no idea what they're doing. Someone must have spread the rumor that we're addicts and it scared them. They are older people who always lived in a quiet neighborhood and are scared of everyone. Ask them to specify exactly what rules you are breaking. My suggestion would be to send them a nice letter, and it's best if it comes from an attorney, but I appreciate you wanting to save the money. Letting them know that you can't pay the fines unless you know the basis of it in the CC&R, and ask that they refer you to the relevant section. Though before you do that, as has been suggested by others, do go through the bylaws. Check what they have to do to issue a fine. What can they issue a fine for, etc. They may not have been following the proper procedure. As a former HOA manager, they cannot fine you in Arizona or Florida without specifying the actual rules that have been broken, and should the HOA be represented by an attorney, the attorney will not either. It sounds to me like they sent out their general letter of non-compliance, complete with the maximum penalties, which are there to threaten you to seek compliance. There are resources in Florida you could utilize, but if you're in a different state, I couldn't offer any further advice. Yep, I think it's more of a shot in the dark to see if they can make me stop. I'm not sure if they have a clear idea of what they're doing, which is why I think that some legally sound pushback from my part could be enough. Update. I pushed back and my HOA stopped harassing me about hosting support group meetings. I wrote back to the HOA to dispute the fines and sent a polite but firm letter asking them to show me precisely which rule I'm supposed to be breaking, as I was advised by commenters in here. I also pretended that I feel insulted that they're calling me and the group members drug addicts. I felt bad doing so because I know that addiction is a disease and not a sin or whatever, and that I would raise hell because of this and call a lawyer. As a result, the president of the HOA called me and basically confirmed that they haven't found a specific rule I would be breaking, but it was more of a general feeling people had that I was making them uncomfortable and that shouldn't go on. I asked them why they were uncomfortable, so he talked about the fact that they think that I'm letting drug addicts gather at my home and that would bring crime to the neighborhood. I explained again that the support group is not about addiction and the members are not drug addicts, and the president said he knew, but some homeowners have trouble accepting it. He confirmed, as I suspected, that there are other things they have trouble accepting about me, and it's not about drugs. Then I tried my luck a little by pretending that what they are doing amounts to discrimination against people who need mental health support, and they were infringing on my right to peacefully enjoy my property, and was adamant that I wouldn't pay a cent in fines. He said that I seemed passionate about the argument, and he doesn't want to be involved in a legal dispute over this, so we came to an agreement that I would move as many meetings as possible online, and only have people at my place when there was no other way, which makes sense within the pandemic times anyway. In return, the HOA will drop their claim and leave me alone. I haven't heard about them again, so I guess I'm fine. Thanks for everyone's good advice. Posted by user, deleted. Titled, My future sister-in-law is asking for my phone records for her restraining order against my fiancé's stalker. Am I legally allowed to give it to them? I live in California if that helps. My fiancé's ex is a girl he dated almost 4 years ago. She's been constantly harassing him after she broke up with him. When we got together, after a year they've been broken up, she found my Facebook and my personal email and phone number and started harassing me as well. She would send death threats, past text messages and love letters my boyfriend sent me during their relationship, and more, in order to try to get me to break up with him so she could have him back. Well, it got to a point we had to file our own restraining order against her and her brothers, since her brother was also helping his sister harass us, and that was due to them obtaining my nudes from my fiance's phone at the time, because she apparently still remembered his password to his Apple Cloud, and she managed to get her hand on my nudes, his nudes, all our important info like family and friends' phone numbers, and even co-workers' info. After many death threats, she threatened she would expose my nudes if I didn't break up with my fiancé. I stayed with him, so over the course of 2 years, she would blast everyone I know my nudes to try and defame me. I've lost friends and even job opportunities over this. The entire time this was happening, she was using VPNs, fake emails, and fake phone numbers to do this, so nothing would be tracked back to her. We literally have thousands of texts, emails, and even voicemails of her crying as evidence. Anyways, we won a restraining order in court, and the only reason why we won is because of all the texts and emails that had intimate information only my fiancé and his crazy ex knew during their relationship. They brought us back into court a second time to delete the restraining order, and we won that as well. Now they are harassing my future sister-in-law. They have been threatening her over text and email that they will share our intimate photos to her friends and co-workers during her wedding. So we've been helping her with her restraining order. Now comes the sticky part. The harasser's lawyer has informed my future sister-in-law that they have my phone records proving I sent harassing text messages to my fiancé's ex, and they are now implying that I'm the one behind it all. My future sister-in-law wants me to submit my entire phone record data to disprove it. Thing is, my question is, how in the world can they get my phone records without my consent or even notification? And another thing is, I've changed my number 5 different times these past 3 years. My new number is barely a few months old, and I don't understand what is going on. I do know that in the last 3 years I've been with my ex, I have sent derogatory texts to that ex of his. Mostly out of frustration because she was texting me first and threatening to kill me, or saying other terrible stuff about my race or education. I know in court I will tell the truth, but I don't want to incriminate myself if I just give them my phone records. My fear is they cherry pick something I said out of frustration and try and prove that it was me somehow. I'm not sure. I'm just tired and fed up at this point, and I just want to know if I should just give them my phone records or wait until I get an official subpoena from the court. Our court date is in 10 days. Likely, if you hand the records over, their lawyer will allow their ex to see all the numbers that you contact, only giving them more information and people to harass regarding yourself and fiancé. Bring this up as a concern to the sister and speak with her lawyer about it. Maybe portions of the numbers can be redacted to at least give them the proof they need without revealing the actual full numbers. Obligatory, I am not a lawyer. There is a lot to unpack here, but I'll try to help. First off, did the harassers have this lawyer when you went to court for the restraining order? It seems odd that this wouldn't have been introduced during those times. If they recently hired an attorney, however, you will want your SIL to hire an attorney as well. However, and remember I'm not a lawyer, it seems suspicious that the harasser's lawyer thinks text messages between you and your fiancé's ex have been any bearing whatsoever on the restraining order to your SIL is filing. Objection, relevance. Seems like a phrase that you'll want your SIL to remember at the court hearing. Second, did you report the fiancé's ex to the police for revenge porn? You mentioned fiancé's ex distributed your nudes. Even without direct proof, you have copies of the threats that she sent and evidence that others received your nudes. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, you'll want to file a police report that can be used in court. Third, while I still think it's not relevant for the SIL case, I would still bring any pertinent documents from your restraining order. Paper printouts of any text messages from and to fiancé's ex, copy of a restraining order against fiancé's ex, and anything that you can share with the judge should they ask. Fourth, good that you're going to tell the truth. Be honest. It's understandable that you're going to react to someone saying they're going to kill you. Hopefully this helps, and I would check any other comments if someone recommends you lawyer up. If fiancé's ex has a lawyer, definitely get one. Thank you for taking the time and writing this all out. This does help. To answer some of your questions, yes, we have reported every single revenge porn blast to the police. We currently have 4 open cases throughout the 2 years. Unfortunately, we can't prove that it was her because she used spoofed numbers. We even paid $10,000 and hired a digital forensics company to try and gain evidence. Unfortunately, all they could come up with is a busted subpoena, indicating that whoever sent those emails and texts, they used spoofed numbers and emails. So that's pretty much a dead end. Secondly, we gave thousands of pages of emails and texts to her and her lawyer. We have volumes of intimate texts that show it's her due to the content of the texts and emails. Thirdly, she has her own lawyer, and she said her lawyer asked me for my phone records to try and prove I wasn't harassing my fiancé's ex. But again, in a way, I was when I was defending myself, and I will tell the truth to that fact. I'm going to look into getting a lawyer myself. I don't understand how they can get my phone records without my ISP provider informing first at least. Not unless her lawyer is lying and trying to use a scare tactic. Either way, thank you. I'm researching more and seeing what I can do. Gotcha. Thanks for clearing that up. I would definitely recommend getting your own lawyer on this one. Good bit of advice I see on here all the time is to never trust a lawyer that isn't your own. Your SIL's lawyer is only interested in what will help your SIL, not you. Your lawyer will be able to help you through this. Sorry that you'll have to spend more money on a lawyer, but I think everything will be just fine. And best of luck. Update. My future SIL is asking for my phone records for her restraining order against my fiancé's stalker. Am I legally allowed to give it to them? California. Hey everyone, I'm just updating for those who were slightly interested. So I ended up getting my own attorney, and the advice he gave me was that I'm not obligated to give my phone records over, but if I do that, I need to black out any other numbers I don't want my harasser to get a hold of. I ended up Skyping with her lawyer and my attorney, and we all agreed to not include my phone records. They both concluded that if our stalker wanted to use those texts, they would submit their own phone records to prove it, and if they don't, it means it wasn't that important anyway. Even though we all agreed to this, my future sister-in-law was not happy about this. She still wanted phone records because she was afraid they already subpoenaed my phone records, which they haven't. No amount of talking or reasoning with her made it through her, not even her lawyer. So my relationship with my future sister-in-law is very strained right now. The court day was about a week ago, and it came and went. The week leading up to the court date was emotional, and it sucked. Both harassers, fiancé's ex and her brother, tried their best to hide their identity and make our lives a living hell. The day before trial, a giant email was sent out to all my co-workers and dad. It contained my nudes and a threatening message. I told her over and over again to leave him. Well, what does she get? What she deserves. Bam! I know 100% of all of you work or have worked with fiancé as a writer. If any of you decide to work with her, do a project with her, or even stay friends with her, I will come after you, your wives, girlfriends, and company. I will Photoshop and torment your loved ones with the possibility of infidelity, crime, or worse. I know all of you have high stakes with her. Her last client's name. I ruined his marriage by sending nudes to his email and personal work phone. His wife, of course, found out, and now he is suffering because she didn't listen. I hope no one trusts her. Now it's your turn. If I catch any of you giving her a job, you're gone. And you better keep fiancé around. Once he and I are back together, he needs to make a lot of money in order to keep up with my high status. And don't even think about using this in court, fiancé. no one is going to really think it's me. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Stay away from her if you know what's best for you all. She's a dirty tramp and a loser. Smiley face. Messages and threats like these are frequent, and I've had these so many times in the last 2 years that now I have to warn any future clients, and I now have no hard feelings for people who decide to cut me out of their lives. And honestly, I'm used to it at this point. Also, unfortunately, I lost a client because of this. And I had my Upwork profile suspended because my ex-client reported me. She managed to find my public Upwork profile and started harassing the clients I was working for. I am still working with Upwork to remedy the solution. We already went to court, and unfortunately, my future sister-in-law decided to dismiss her case without prejudice. The judge we were assigned to had a criminal background and needed solid evidence that our male stalker was harassing her. The harassers were using VPNs and fake numbers to harass her, and even though we have proof that he was harassing us, it couldn't be carried over. After she dismissed the case, our harasser tried pinning all of the harassment on my fiancé and I. To try and make my future sister-in-law pay for all their court fees, they provided a giant itemized bill of over $40,000. These jerks tried arguing that my future sister-in-law was liable for all of it, and the bill included the last 2 court cases they lost against my fiancé and me. So, out of this entire thing, I managed to lose some clients, my dignity, and my future sister-in-law refuses to talk to me now. It sucks, but hey, life isn't fair. The only thing I can do is keep my online life extremely confidential, and any clients I work with online, I will have to warn them about my stalker. Lol. On the bright side, my harassers are $40,000 in debt, and that ex still doesn't have my fiancé. Plus, even though all of this happened, I work in an industry that doesn't care about leaked nudes. Most of my colleagues and clients still want to work with me, and I had a good day today surfing, so not everything is bad. Thank you for everyone who gave me advice and those cute badge things. You guys were super helpful. Alright guys, that's where I'm going to end today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something that you didn't know before. If you haven't already, please do feel free to click that like button, as it really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already and you love today's video, please feel free to subscribe. I would love it a lot. Also, big shout out to all my Patreon members and channel subscribers. You guys are all up on the screen right now. I love you. I love your faces. Also, I love seeing you guys all chatting down below in the comments. It brightens my day to see the stories that you guys share and just the kind words you guys always have for my videos, as well as everyone else in the videos. I love you too. But honestly, your ongoing support means the world to me, and I just love it so much that you guys are able to support a career for myself that I invest so much time into. And you guys honestly motivate me to work harder each and every day to put more love into the videos for you guys. If you guys have watched this far in the video and you haven't already subscribed on Patreon or become a channel member, that's cool, you don't have to, but there are links down below. You can donate any amount of money, pledge that any month, cancel whenever. I'm completely cool with it. It's just there for you to support me if you'd like to go the extra mile. And I'll go the extra mile for you guys by putting out new amazing content every single day. With that said guys, I really hope you have a good day, night, sleep, bath, time at work, whatever you're up to today. This has been Markee. I'll see you in the next amazing video. Bye.